I had an impromptu meeting, so
We are live.
yay!
We made it.
We did. And I just want to thank our translators as well. Thank you for coming on to translate for Sarah and I for this Lady of the Rings. I love the title.
Yeah. Should we start with that story?
Yes, let's start with that one.
Okay. So, out the gate right now, just in case you only have 5 minutes to be here, you're invited tonight to a class with Sylvia and I called "Creating Your Future with Money by Being You," and it's tonight at 6 p.m. Mexico City time, which is also Houston time, which I think is correct. Um, But I'm really excited because Sylvia and I haven't really done a class together yet, but we have this really cool story that actually birthed in the conversation of this class that has to do with following the energy and creating with money to follow said energy, if you will. And so shall I start it? Because the part of the story starts here. Well, no, the part of the story starts with you. Or should we tell?
Oh, yes, it does. So, first of all, I also would like to add that even though Sarah and I have not facilitated a class together, we've known each other for a long time. So we definitely have seen each other grow in different ways. And money is definitely one of the spaces and places that we both have grown tremendously. Um, but it's interesting, the story we're about to share years ago, as I started to choose more, and an area I started to choose was to add more jewelry to my life. And if you guys don't know, within Access Consciousness, one of the some of the bigger events, we have what we call the antique guild that comes up and brings in this beautiful jewelry to invite all of us to be with this energy of a possibility of receiving and having way more. So I'm out in Linkawi and this beautiful 7-day event. So, all the costs it takes to get there, the class, all of that. And I know I love jewelry. Like I'm starting to develop this joy for jewelry. But I told myself, I'm going to Langkawi. I'm only going to buy one piece. So and then Chris Hughes, who leads the antique guilds, he says Gary has personally selected all the pieces. So of course, then I'm like, oh, wow, it has this extra energy, right? So I go out, look at all the jewelry, and first of all, I saw this bracelet. Yes, the bracelet, and then there was this ring. And I thought, shoot, I really would like that ring. Like I looked at it, put it on, fit me perfect. But I thought, no, I said I was only going to do one. And hesitantly, I put it back. And, I was in that turmoil, like, what do I do? Okay, wait for me, ring. And then I see it walk by where has it in his hand to take it to the table for someone to pay for it. I'm all, where's that ring going? So, oh, Sarah bought it, Ma. Oh, but it's so interesting, Sarah. I don't know that I've even told you the story because it was such this like, oh, but now that I look at the energy, it was like I will see you soon. Like, you're not far. Like there was this thread of, it wasn't you're gone, which is such an interesting energy. So you take it from there.
Well, I wanted to connect that dot too. Is like because it could have gone to someone who maybe never came back to an access class, right? So, like, how cool is it that it just was wanted to be babysat by me, my finger in my bank account? Um, so, the tying together of this too is I love what you said before I finish this story. So we'll leave a cliffhanger there for everybody. Is you're asked to be there. You're asked to at least choose one piece. But also the conversation that I think we'll get in tonight is where we do either or, where we go, I can either have this great experience or I can have this great experience and buy jewelry, but I cannot have both. Therefore, I need to narrow. And I know I have done that in so many ways. And the Antique Guild has been the greatest adventure in doing that. And so what would it look like to actually be willing to like spread your wings, ask for it all, and have it all show up whether you're the one purchasing it or not? So here we go. So I bought this ring because it had this like what I'm going to call, watch this, spicy energy. It was like a bouncing little, and it literally, do you have it with you here?
I think
No,
so.
no, don't show it yet. You have to
Not
show
yet.
it.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So it had, it was a ruby ring, hence our colors here. And funny enough, it only fit my pinky. Um, it's a little bit bigger than my friend Sylvia's. Okay. And I don't really wear pinky rings, but it still was like so bouncy and excited and was like glaring at me. And I was like, okay. And I too was like, I'm only buying one piece. So this was the one piece I bought on this trip, right? So I take it home and I'm so excited and I'm like showing it to everybody. Look at my ring. And I'm walking around with it. And every time from that day, from the moment I left Langkawi, when this ring was in proximity to the person who it was supposed to belong to, I didn't actually perceive this. But as soon as I got home, I would put the ring on and I would see Sylvia Puente's face. And I'm like, why is Sylvia in my head? This is really weird. Okay, whatever, keep going. But then I started to acknowledge that anytime I put the ring on, Sylvia came into my awareness and I was like, But I didn't know that she had played with the ring. I didn't know that she had piss marked the ring. I didn't know any of this. So out of the blue, I messaged Sylvia and I was like, hey, I might have a piece of jewelry that desires to be yours. And she knew, you could tell that you right
And
away.
then I knew, and I said, "Oh, send me a picture."
So then basically, so then we like, figured it out where she made some payments to me and then I brought her the ring at another class. And what's funny is now this trip, now that was like, what year was that? It was like 3
Wow.
years ago. It was 2020.
Maybe
It
definitely
was
before
4
lockdowns.
years ago. I'm doing it by my age because I had a certain birthday there that I will not
But
talk about.
but what's interesting, even when you sent me the picture and we looked at like when I could pay you, and you're like, well, we're gonna meet up in Costa Rica. I'll just take it to you there. The moment you gave it to me and I put it on, I swear there was this smile that came from the ring that I was like, I mean, even to this day, you let me know if you want me to show it because I have it now. But even to this day, I put it on and it has a smile. It's just happy to be with me. I'm happy to have it. I think it's just beautiful. And there's several elements to that, Sarah, that I didn't acknowledge at the time, something that we call piss marking. Maybe many of you know this term, but when you truly desire something, there's an energy you be. And if that piece desires you too, you will make it happen. And moving forward, I started to notice what that energy is that I don't even realize I'm being. Your brother actually had this desk he was getting rid of, or Gary was giving him a new desk, and I'm in his room. I don't know, during some event, and I'm all, "Is this the desk that you're getting rid of? That because you're getting a new one?" And I'm caressing the desk, and he's all, "Are you piss marking on my desk?" I'm all, "Is this piss marking?" And guess where that desk is now?
I'm assuming not on your pinky finger, but in your house.
It's actually at the Lazy Double D Ranch that Gary had that desk taken there for me. It's my desk for all the live classes we have at the Lazy Double D Ranch. And it's gorgeous because it doesn't fit in my space right now. But, anyways, so I wonder what we can be to begin one, to observe ourselves and acknowledge when things show up, you think they were lost, gone, or you couldn't choose them. And what if we could truly have that energy more in our lives? I was like, I'm asking for this. When
Yeah.
and how, I have no idea. And if we're willing to be that spicy, juicy energy, it's like more things will come than we realize.
And also what the other fun part of this story that again, can you hear that? Sorry.
Yeah.
The other fun part of the story is like being willing to know that what you ask for will show up. You just don't know how it's going to show up. And that has been a very interesting, especially within Access. We're talking about presumptive realities, which is basically Cliff Notes version. You put in a destination in your navigation system of life, and then you just push go, and then you stop asking questions. You don't look for any other possibilities. You like have your way to get to the thing you like to get. But how many things are trying to get to you that because you're maintaining this path, or like it has to show up this way, you won't even see it coming in. And so playing with that tonight in class, I'm really excited about, is to like really look at like, you never know how it's going to show up. And if you were truly to acknowledge that, you could actually have way more receiving of the things you're asking for in totally different ways. Because I doubt Sylvia was like, I'm not getting this ring, but I bet Sarah is going to come over and buy it for me and then offer it to me later. Because even knowing that I bought it, I'm assuming, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, did you assume that I bought it because I was in love with it and I was going to keep it for a really long time? Like, was that?
No, I didn't. I just assumed you were taking it. But no, it wasn't even that afterthought. It was just like, oh, like it was this longing for it and sad that it was leaving in the moment.
Yeah.
And this
That's,
is the part, Sarah, like I wonder how many things we've asked for, even in another lifetime, that it's still open for us to receive. But it's that moment where you give up, like, oh, that's it. She took it, forget it. I wonder how much, and maybe that's, yeah, where you were headed, that we actually break that thread of, yeah, whatever that is with that piece that, yeah.
and I'm gonna like go out on a limb here and like self acknowledge. Watch out, everybody. The internet might blow up, but thank you. But also, how much more yummy was the ring because it went through my world first before it got to you. That spicy energy that I'm aware of that I've often also screwed up calling you a hot tamale, but well, that's a whole other story we'll talk about tonight. But that's also something that excites me and why we get along so well is like we both have that like that type of energy. And I'm just like wondering also if we could acknowledge that the path that something's taking to get to, what if it's actually contributing to you once you receive it as well?
Yes. Wow. And we were talking about future and money on tonight. Like, how much do we actually cut off what's actually already on its way by, all our points of views and conclusion that whatever you're choosing isn't working, rather than like, hey, money, where are you and which way are you coming from?
Yeah. Yeah. How do you want to get to me today?
That's right.
So as far as our rings, the other side of it was from that purchase have always had the awareness of like I would love to have rubies in my life,
Mhm.
but it hasn't shown up. Like I've had really beautiful gifts. My brother has given me some really amazing jewelry in the past few years, as gratitude gifts or birthday gifts or whatever, and none of it has had rubies. So I'm like, okay, ruby ring. Like especially when you and I started talking about creating something out, it was like, where's my ruby ring? And then on the last day of this 6th day, I ended up purchasing a ruby ring.
Yay.
So I have it here, and if you want to show your ring, then I'll show mine.
Here's mine. It's a honeycomb of rubies. And look, it fits me perfect. That's the other thing. It's like super gorgeous. Yep.
If
Okay.
Natalie's on here, I'm sorry we said honeycomb.
Oh,
That's just an inside thing. I love it. So this one was mine.
yeah. Oh, gorgeous.
I just bought her at the 6th day. And again, she just jumped off the table and was like, I'm going home with you, bitch. And I was like, okay, how am I going to make that happen? Because, and here's the fun thing, the night before that I bought her, there was the guild show in the evening, and I bought 2 pieces. I bought earrings and I bought a ring. And I was like already kind of at that thing of like being maxed out. I already did my guild purchase. My reality is already expanded. How much shall I ask for or receive, right? And then this thing's like, hi, you ready to leap again? Hi, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm like, okay. So, and it was so light and not any way that I could justify spending that much more money from my logical mind. But
Yeah.
I always say is that you have to order off the menu of the future you would like to create. You can't keep ordering McDonald's and expecting the filet mignon to show up.
Yeah.
And whether you go into, and this is an analogy, kids, whether you go into the restaurant next door of the future that you'd like to have right now and pick up a napkin, I don't care what it is. Order a side of mashed potatoes if you can't afford whatever it is. What is it that you're asking for that you can invite into your world now? Like when I would love to have horse, like I have a horse in Costa Rica. I'd love to have one in LA. So I was like, what, there are horses. I'm actually in an equestrian city. Like, why am I not going and riding horses all the time to have the energy? Because that's where I'll meet someone who's selling a horse or who wants to give me a horse. I'm not going to meet them in my backyard, So being willing to like move around to look at things that you'd like to have.
And I remember kind of this leap energy that you're talking about where you don't have it figured out, and I remember years ago, Gary asked me, truth, and you guys all may want to ask yourself, do you have enough money? And out of my mouth so fast was yes. And what gets created when you have concluded you have enough money is that you don't open yourself up to receive way more, choose more. So from there, from that moment, I leaped several times over. Never did I imagine having horses. I have two horses in two different countries. You know, I leaped and I invested in El Lugar, didn't know how. I have a second investment now. It's like, but it was really from that leap of what you're saying to actually create a greater future. You have to be willing to be in the question, will this contribute to the future I'm asking for? And get out of the head of figuring out how you're going to do it, but be in the energy and then just following the choices that come thereafter. I'm not talking about going in debt, but I am talking about choosing what matches, like you said, is congruent with the future you'd like to have. And I can say, I mean, the future I'm living now I'm asking myself the new question again, truth. Do I have the point of view? I have enough money.
I love that. And I would love to like earmark, is that still a word? Somebody on the team remind us to talk about that leap energy tonight.
Yeah.
Because that is where like you're leaping, like your heart is pounding, your palms are sweating, and you're like, I have no business choosing this, like no business. But that's all of your presumptive realities. That is all of your conclusions, your judgments of you, of the future, of what you can create. All of that culminating, that's about to explode into possibilities when you actually choose the leap. And you guys, the leap, I'm going to tell you, everybody on this right now, I'm going to pock and pod some shit if that's okay. But
Go.
anybody who's already concluded what leap is, like,
Yeah.
because the leap could be that like you usually like order like the basic Uber, and in this moment you're like, I'm asking for something different, and you order an Uber Black, and you pay $25 more or something. You know, that right there will just set you up to, okay, what's the next leap? And it doesn't have to be leave everything behind and go into $1 million business venture that you're afraid you're going to lose your whole life. You know, it's not
Yeah,
this.
and it can be that leap that you're talking about can also be where you're choosing to be something different that's uncomfortable. Maybe you're in a conversation where you usually don't say anything and you're going to leap and actually say something. Even
Yeah,
though your heart, like you said, your heart's pounding, your hands are sweating, but it's actually, and I can't wait for our class, Sarah, because I mean, it could be a whole series of calls, but the leap of being creates way more money too.
yeah,
So
exactly.
that's
See,
the
girl.
class tonight.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, even when I showed up to Access, like I had so much proving in my world to prove,
Yeah.
like being Dean's sister and like navigating those waters, and then feeling like I had to prove that I belonged. So here are all the things that I can contribute from proving. And then I was like, oh, I can't prove anything anymore. I shouldn't do that. So then I got really quiet and was like, I'd get on meetings or stuff and not really contribute what I knew, because I was like, well, this force energy is proving. To your point of it could just be speaking up.
Yeah.
It took me a minute to be able to be like, hey, and say something. And I am not a quiet person. I don't know
No.
if you can tell, but I had turned into this quiet person to avoid being the thing that I wasn't supposed to be, that I was now wrong for, that I made myself wrong for, and all of that. And so to step out into new ground is that being part. And we are doing a being you class. It's like looking at, wow, this is where I shrink. I'm not shrinking anymore. I'm going to,
So, wow, I'm so grateful for all of these, those of you that are on this live. Like, I hope it's contributing to you, even just this piece. And if you do desire more, join us on the class because I would love for all of us to unwind and uncover what's actually really true for us that we haven't been willing to choose. And, you know, if you know anything about the Access Consciousness tools, we're getting to the energies and the spaces that have been hidden, avoiding places we're defending, what we've made so real that if you are willing to have the courage to uncover that or clear that so you can uncover what's true for you, it's you have a lot waiting for you. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you
yay.
for this invitation. And we're already talking. Is there some other creation we'd like to create? So you may see more of us together.
Yay.
As you can tell, there's no fun between us.
Exactly. All right, guys. Thank you. And thank you, Sylvia.
You're
I'll
welcome. Thank you, everyone.
see you in a
Thank
little bit. If you guys are
you.
local in Mexico City, come see us live.
Yes. All
Bye.
right. Ciao, everyone.